Um, Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here. زخوت مموری مادرتون her name again? ملوک بعد ایوب ملوک ایوب ملوک بعد ایوب. May this gathering be a cause for rising of her soul higher and higher in Shemaim. We are still in month of Cheshvan. Rosh Chodesh Kislev is on Sunday. These 2 months are somehow connected to each other, and usually I talk about Hanukkah. I talk about the light of Hanukkah and what that means, light versus darkness. I want to take a different route today, to look at it in a different context and in a different light. Month of Cheshvan is called the month of Mabul. It's the month of flood. It's when Noah's flood, they call it the flood of Noah. It is the month when the flood happened. It started 17th of Cheshvan. It's when the rain started happening, when they started going into the ark. And it lasted for 1 whole year. 27th of Cheshvan, which is tomorrow, they come out of the ark. So it's lasted for 1 whole year. And 27th of Cheshvan, God commands. It commands Noah and says, go out. You have to go out. Go out of the ark, because there is only so much we can stay in our cocoon. No matter what darkness there is, no matter what challenge there is, no matter what kind of hardship we have, there is only so long that we can stay in our cocoon. And after a while, God says, get out of this cocoon, get out of the ark that you're in, because our job is not to stay in a cocoon. Our job is, for a certain time, we can be in a cocoon. We are supposed to be in a cocoon. But after a certain time, we are supposed to get out. Our job is to be in the world. And it's to be present in the world rather than to be in a cocoon from the world. So 27th of Cheshvan, out. 28th of Cheshvan, Noah he gives an offering. He gives an offering to Hashem. 1st of Kislev, a few days later, God shows Noah the rainbow. It's Keshet. It's the rainbow, and God tells Noah that when you look at the rainbow, just know that I will not do this again. Just know that there is always hope. The month of Kislev, its sign is the arrow. However, it's called Keshet, which is also the same word for rainbow. So the month of Kislev is very much associated with the rainbow. What is the rainbow? What is rainbow?
It's the meeting of the water with the sun.
It contains all the light that exists.
It comes after the storm.
It comes after a storm. Usually it comes after a storm. And then it's the combination of light and moisture, right? It's the combination of light and moisture, and it shows itself. It's always there. It's light. It's light. However, it's the combination of that light and the moisture that comes out in the 7 colors of the rainbow, which is, by the way, the 7 midot, right? Which is the 7 spiritual channels through which we live our lives through, which is kindness, which is discipline, beauty, victory, humility, bonding, and malchut, which is the last one, which is to be, to be. So these 7 colors of the rainbow are actually the 7 channels through which we have to live our lives. So what happened? Where was the rainbow before? Why was there no rainbow before? What happened? What changed? What changed in the chemistry of the world that God all of a sudden showed the rainbow? Because anything that's spiritual, anything that happens in a physical realm, it has its spirituality also in the spiritual realm. What happened that all of a sudden we could see the rainbow? What happened? There's a dynamic that changed. Some dynamic changed in this world. Something changed. Something shifted.
Came out of our cocoon.
We came out of our cocoon. It is to go to clarity.
Clarity, to be present.
To be present. Spirit.
Maybe it wasn't before. You have to go through the storm before the rain.
You have to go through the. That's a good point. You have to go through the storm, and then the rainbow comes out. You have to go through it. There is no rainbow without a maturity. The dynamic that changed, all of them are true, but the one dynamic that changed, moisture. Where does this moisture come from? It is the interaction of the moisture with the light that brings rainbow. Yes? Something shifted. God allowed for something to shift, and he said, from now on, look at the rainbow, and no, I'm not going to do this again. So something shifted. It is the interaction of the moisture with the light that shifted. Before that, this interaction was oblivious. It did not exist. God showed the rainbow, now it exists. Now there is a new dynamic that I am allowing, that I am presenting to the human being. And that is the interaction of moisture with light. Where does moisture come from? Where is this water? Where is it coming from? Rain. Where is rain coming from? Cloud. Where is cloud coming from? Ocean. What happens? There is the heat. Yes, the heat of the sun that's hitting the water. The water is rising, becoming moisture. The moisture is going up. It's becoming cloud. The rain is coming down. Yes? There is a whole activity that is going on here. It is not that rain is just dropping because God says, let there be rain. It is a whole activity that's happening. There is heat, there is water rising up, there is the cloud, and it is the interaction of that water with the light that becomes the rainbow. And God said, from now on, there is the interaction of your effort, because rain is effort. There's an effort that needs to go into the water coming down. From now on, your effort, your heat, your wisdom, the effort that you put into it is going to interact with the light that is the all-surrounding light that God has put into the universe, and that will create the rainbow. And that is the rainbow of our lives. That there is no circumstance. And that's why the rainbow was shown to Noah after the storm. To show that there is no, not only to say that I will not do this, but that you You, by your effort, by what you put into it, you have an opportunity to have rainbow in your life. That the difficulties of your life, that the challenges of your life, with your effort, come out of the ark. Come out of the ark. The rainbow was not shown to him while he was in the ark. It was shown to him while he was outside of the ark. It was shown to him after he made an offering. Come out of the ark. And it's only then, it's only when you come out of the ark that you are, you're allowed, not allowed, but you're able, you're capable. It is what you're meant to do, to bring these rainbows into existence. Light is light. Light is light. It's there. Rainbow is just a clarification for our eyes to see the spectrum of light that exists within pure light. Or right now there is rainbow, we just can't see it. Right, the pure light within it has the seventh spectrum of light within it, with the pure light, with this light that there is. However, it's the combination of that moisture with the light, that interaction of effort with the light that brings out the spectrum of the pure light. And you see, oh, red, yellow, purple, blue, violet. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. So that's beginning of Kislev. That's the message that we start Kislev with. What is the end of Kislev? Hanukkah. Hanukkah. But I'm going to go into Hanukkah a little bit. I don't want to go into Hanukkah too much, but that's exactly the message of Hanukkah. Right? Light, bringing out the light to light up the world. The victory of a few over the many. The victory of light over darkness. So as I said, I want to take a different perspective about this. I want to enter it through a different angle. And this is related also to Sima's mom. I want you to hear this, please. Month of Cheshvan is, if you take Cheshvan and you take its borders, you have Chen and Nun. It ends with Chen and Nun. It ends with Chet and Nun. And you put it together, it becomes Chen, grace. Chen. You take the two words in the middle, it's Sho. It's the same lettering as Isha, which is woman. The month of Hanukkah is the grace of the woman. Where is she?
She's here.
Okay. It's the grace of the woman. 11th of Cheshvan is when our matriarch, Rachel Imeinu, passes away. She passes away 11th of Cheshvan. What had she accomplished until the date that she passes away?
She delivered a baby. They were saying that she's the mother of, from the chesed, from sharing, giving.
She was
She
what?
was caring about everybody.
Okay, but what? She gave birth to Benjamin, and she had already given birth to Yosef. But at such a young age of 30-something years old, what had she accomplished so far?
She also brought love to her husband's life. He was the one she loved.
Right,
Wisdom.
right. But she was not,
She was young.
she was young. She was young. She was not like Sarah, who went, or she was not through Rebecca, who did this and who did that, and she managed this and she managed. It was different. She was young. She passed away when she was giving birth, and she died at a very young age, 30-something years old, on 11th of Cheshvan.
She also let her sister sister get
Yes,
married
she
to
was.
who she loved.
She also right
She left
because
her.
of I'm going to get to that. If you take the word chen, 58, and you count from beginning of Cheshvan, so Cheshvan is a feminine month. It has to do with the grace of the woman. Our matriarch is, her yard site is that day. If you take beginning of Cheshvan and you count 58 days, you have right smack in the middle of Hanukkah. Yes? You have right smack in the middle of Hanukkah. So chen, it's something that is not, you don't see it right away. That grace and beauty is not something that is seen right away. The grace and beauty needs patience, and sometimes it comes out years and years later after the person herself has passed away. It is not necessarily through that person. It is sometimes years after the person has passed away. Month of Kislev, the month itself is the tribe of Benjamin. Yeah, the tribe of Benjamin. The month of Kislev belongs to Benjamin. Who is Benjamin? He is the son of Rachel. So these 2 months are very much connected to Rachel, Benjamin, and Yosef, because Yosef, we start reading about the story of Yosef all this month. All this month is connected to Yosef, about his journey, about who he was, who he becomes, what happens to him. It's about Yosef. So it's years later that you see Yosef becoming who he becomes, that he becomes the viceroy of Egypt. I'm going to go into that a little bit. And you have Benjamin, whose portion is the month of Kislev, who has the inauguration of the temple, who has Hanukkah, which, by the way, they say when Mashiach comes, there are only 2 holidays that are going to be left. One is Hanukkah and one is Purim, because both of them are by us. Both of them are from our effort. Both Hanukkah and Purim are the miracles that came through because of our effort. Very much connected to the idea of the rainbow again, because it is about our effort. It is what we put into it. Now, I want to go into Benjamin. The sense of the month is dream. Cholem. The sense of and this whole month we are reading about dreams. We read about the dream of Paro. We read about the dream of Yosef. We read about the dream of the prisoners. It's about dream. That's the sense of the month. So I want to go a little bit into Yosef and what was his accomplishment, what he did, and how it's related to Hanukkah, really. So Yosef, who is the son of Rachel. What was his, do you think, a better question is, do you think Yosef was responsible for being thrown in the pit? Yes. You know the story of Yosef, yes? Everybody knows the story of Yosef, yes? Okay. Was he responsible for being thrown in the pit?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
I say no.
Do you want to say yes and no? Do you want to give your reasons?
Yeah.
Yes?
Everybody are in this world, our action, we have cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
So by telling not to be close to the brother and telling, behind them to their father, he was creating a jealousy and anger from them. And that's what created that they put him into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it would be related to this.
Okay.
But his father favored him and created that mess. His father and probably mother, we
But
don't know
still it
about,
could be closer
allowed
to
that to happen because they differentiate between their
Yeah,
children.
but still it could be closer to them and it could do it a different way. But this is
Okay, so the father and the son
But
both.
mostly because of the dream he had.
Yes.
He just saw at the dream that he is higher from the other brothers.
Right.
These dreams make him that proud that he's higher, and he always was telling them about his dream.
Right.
And Joseph made them very angry about it.
Right. They were
I
jealous.
think so.
Right. Right.
And those are one of the reasons that the name of Yosef is not in the tribes. They use Menashe and Ephraim, his son, when they want to talk about the tribes and everything. So somehow he's putting aside because of his thinking of himself to be above all the others.
Mostly came
Anybody
from
else?
jealousy. Mostly came from jealousy.
So he was responsible to make them jealous.
Intentionally or unintentionally.
Unintentionally. Okay. Yosef is about maturity of the soul. Yosef is about who we need to become as souls going forth. Our responsibility on this earth as we are walking it. Yosef was very young. He was 17 years old and he had a dream. Now, he, unlike our other forefathers, unlike Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, did not hear God's words. The rest of them, they either had a vision or they heard God's voice, and God calls out to them, Abraham, and he says, Hineni, Yitzchak, Hineni, Yaakov. They have a conversation. Either it's in a vision or it's a conversation. They were on a different level and they were able to have that kind of knowingness. They knew. There was no way that this was not God's voice. They just knew. Yosef, on the other hand, we are like him because we are not hearing, or you might be, I don't know, no judgments. But for the most of us, we are not hearing God's voice. And we have to rely on our own intuition. We have to rely on our own compass in order to navigate our lives, in order to navigate through life. There is no voice coming down and saying, Farangiss, and I say Hineni. That it's not happened. I wish it was, but...
Then we had to lock you up.
Exactly. So, Yosef is the first one who is not a shepherd. He is not the shepherd. He is the one that goes out, just like Noah. He is the one that has to go out. He's no longer the one that is secluded, that is in a cocoon. Shepherds are in a cocoon. Yes, they do their flocks, and they are in the field grazing with let the sheep graze, and let me do my meditation. Let me talk to God. Yosef, on the other hand, is no such thing. He has to go out. This is our journey. This is the journey of our souls. So Yosef has a dream. Now, this dream is a dream that he sees, but it also could be the dreams that each and every single one of us has about who we become. And this is very important for our children. Although I want to say that it doesn't matter how old we are, it doesn't matter where we are in life, it doesn't matter who we are. If we have ever had a dream, look at Yosef. So Yosef talks about his dream. Now, the dream is the dream that he actually dreamt. But it could be that we talk about our dreams. Yes, let's look at it that way. Yosef talks about his dream. They laugh at him. They laugh at him. They say, "Are you?" His dad says, "What are you saying? Your mother isn't even here to bow to you." Because the dream that he had were the sheaves. He had a sheaf of grain that was taller than the other sheaves, and all the other sheaves bowed to him. The sun and the moon bowed to him. The sun and the moon being Yaakov and Rachel. They bowed to him. Yaakov is saying he like this, he wants to disregard it, but he still had it in his mind. He says, "Where's your mom? Your mom isn't even here. Your mom is going to bow to you? Doesn't make sense." But Yosef always had this in his mind. He never disregarded his dream. What happens to Yosef? So the brothers become jealous. That's one way of looking at it. The brothers also thought that it's an insult to their dad that he had such a dream that the dad would bow to him. They thought this is one of the commentaries. With each of the fathers, there was one son that was no good. Abraham had Ishmael and had Yitzchak. Ishmael was no good, had to be sent out. With Yaakov, with Yitzchak, he had twins, right? He had twins, Esav and Yaakov. Esav was no good, had to be sent out, or they got separated. Now come with Yaakov, he has 12 sons, but one son has to go out. Who is that son? Yosef. They thought Yosef, that's what they thought. They thought Yosef is the bad seed, and he needs to go out. He needs to leave. And they, in their own mind, made up the interpretation that, look at him, he's the dreamer. He's the dreamer. They called him the dreamer. He is the dreamer. And our dad to bow down to him, he has such grander thoughts about himself. And yet what happens? We know the story that he goes to Potiphar's house, and he goes into jail, and from jail he goes into overnight. Overnight he becomes a viceroy. Overnight. What gave him the chutzpah? What allowed him? You know, Yosef had every reason not to become Yosef that we know of him. He was an orphan. He was hated by his brothers. He was thrown into a pit. He went into Egypt, a foreign country, knew nobody, did not know the language, had to learn a whole new language. So you have an orphaned child at 17 years of age who is hated by his family, and he ends up in a foreign country with nothing, with no one, gets thrown into jail. No one wants him, not even the Egyptians. If we had to take him psychologically today, this would be a child who would need a lot of medications, yes.
Except. So these are the things I remember. He was gorgeous.
Yes.
People acknowledged that he was just beautiful. In the Torah, over and over again, it says he was beautiful. And although all of these terrible things happened to him, he had a really good start, which I think affects children. He was loved for a good time and favored by his dad. And also he listened to his dreams. He believed in himself.
That's it, yes. He never, by the way, that beauty that Rebecca talks about, it's the same beauty of Rachel. They say he looked like his mom. And they say Rachel was beauty. She was absolutely beautiful. But when Torah says it, that it's not talking about a beauty that's appearance, although I'm sure they were gorgeous and beautiful. It's the inner beauty. It is that grace, chen. It is that chen that was carried by Rachel, and the same chen was carried to Yosef. The same, and by the way, Chanukah, what are the first two letters? Chen. Chen. It is that beauty that gets carried over. But the Chen did not come to be, the Chen of Rachel did not come to be until Yosef. Until Yosef went through his trials and tribulations and became who he became. So what allowed Yosef to be overnight, in a second, he changed from a slave to a viceroy of Egypt, literally with a blink of an eye. And we always talk about slave mentality. We always talk about poor mentality, victim mentality. Talk about victim mentality. You know, if anybody should have had it, it was Yosef. And yet, right away, within a blink of an eye, it's almost as if though he has a transformation, or does he? It's as if though Yosef never, ever became a slave, never became an Egyptian. He always maintained his identity, and he always maintained his dream. That's something that allowed him to go literally from a split second from one to the other. It didn't matter where he's placed at, whether he's in Potiphar's house, whether he is in jail, whether he is in the palace of Egypt. It didn't matter where he is. It is that connection that allowed him to become who he became. But what happened to Yosef as the story is going? A few years later, 9 years later, 9 years, he becomes a viceroy. 9 years later, there is a famine, and the famine is so bad in Israel that the brothers have to come in. He sees his brothers. Why does he not reveal himself to the brothers right away?
They have to bow down. The dream had to come true.
The dream had to come. He remembered his dream. And he played everything out. So that his dream, the dream that he had at age 17, would come true. No. He knew with such certainty, thank you. He knew with such certainty that this is the way, this is the dream. Now, the dream could be whatever. We can fill it up. With whatever the dream is. It was a dream that he had, not because of thoughts of grandeur, but because it was shown to him that is part of, and it was twice. He dreamt of it twice. So it was said and it was done. It was as if though it was sealed already. And he played it out in such a way that dream would come true. And he did. He played it out in such a way that everybody, including Yaakov, because he was the viceroy of Egypt, they bowed to him. So
how about Rachel?
The stepmom, she bowed down.
Bilhah. Yeah, Rachel was passed away. Bilhah, because of she was the maidservant of Rachel, so Bilhah was the one. So going forward to years and years and years later. Oh, before I go there, so the evolution of Yosef is the evolution of our soul, to be in the world, but not to be affected by it. He went through so many different changes, from being the shepherd at the age of 17, he came to be the slave of Potiphar, then he became a prisoner, then he became a viceroy, but Yosef was always Yosef. Yosef never changed. Yosef was who he was. And there was a certain trust, there was certain confidence, there was certain certainty that he had that was not shakable, that nobody could take away that from him. And this is something that we need to cultivate within ourselves. That a certain trust and a certain faith, thank you, a certain faith that nothing, no matter what the circumstances around us are, we still the same person, we still have a soul, we're still connected, there is nothing that can shake us beyond who we are. And that's Yosef. That's who Yosef was, and that is a lesson that we need to take Yosef to us. Now, Yosef at the end of the story, by the way, the 58 days from Cheshvan becomes right smack in the middle of Hanukkah, but also it becomes Parasha Miketz, which is when Yosef reveals himself. It is when Yosef reveals himself to the brothers. It's also Hanukkah. So Hanukkah is revelation. Yes? It's about light. It's about revelation. But it does not come after a certain effort. Also, the month of Kislev, it's Kislev. It's the support of 36. And 36, they say there are 36 Sadiqim in the world. And how do we name Yosef? Yosef the Sadiq. Why was he called the Sadiq? What earned him that?
He did all these things he passed. He didn't do anything wrong. He stayed the Sadiq all along.
He stayed the Sadiq all along.
And he did a restriction with the wife of Pharaoh.
Of Potiphar, right.
He didn't take revenge on his brothers.
That's it, yeah. So there is the Potiphar, they say that's why he's a Sadiq, but it goes further than that. This is the first time in the story of the Bible, the first time we have Cain and Abel, who one of them kills the other. A brother kills a brother, right? Then we go forward, we have the two brothers, Ishmael and Yitzchak, who separate. Then again, we have the two brothers, Esau and Yaakov, who separate. There is no forgiveness here. One kills the other, then the other comes, they get separated. One goes there, the other goes there. It's all about separation. This is the first time that, and none of them are, he's not a prophet, and yet he has an inner knowing, and he says, when the brothers come, he reveals himself, Yosef reveals himself to the brothers, and the brothers are shaken. They are so scared now. They are so scared because he's the viceroy of Egypt. He can do anything to them he wants to. Not only that, he could tell their father. What would that do to the father to know that 9 of 10 of his children are involved in what he suffered for 22 years? What would Yaakov do? Yaakov didn't know. And Yaakov never knew, by the way. He never told Yaakov. He never told Yaakov what happened. And what does Yosef say? It's beautiful. Yosef says, I was meant to be here. I was meant to come to Egypt. Don't you take it upon yourselves. Don't you think that you did this.
He said it was the will of God, but he never forgave them. If there's no forgiveness, he never says, I forgive you. He says, no, this was the will of God that I'm here. But he never says, I forgive you for what you did.
He never took revenge on them either.
That's the evolution. That's the evolution. That he was able to say, this is the will of God. Don't agitate yourself. He tells them, don't agitate yourselves. This is the will of God. I was meant to come here. I was meant to be here. I was meant to be the viceroy. Don't bother yourself. So this is where
Never forgive them.
it doesn't really say that he forgave them. And many, 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 many years later, Second Temple time, there are the 10 martyrs that get killed, and they say that the 10 martyrs were the reincarnation of the 10 brothers. And they were so high up that 3 of them, they do an ascension of the soul, and Archangel Gabriel tells, this is a story, I don't know, but Archangel Gabriel says, stop, don't pray, this is the will. If this does not happen, the whole world will turn around. So just accept it as it is. So then they come back and they accept what was supposed to happen to them. So they say that was this for that. So we live in a world that, as you said, there is cause and effect. It is a closed system. It is not, we call it a closed system because nothing that gets done or said or thought or felt, it doesn't go away. It's a closed system. It stays within this system. Whether it's now physically that's shown, whether it's in the future, whether we see it, whether we don't see it, it's irrelevant because there is nothing that gets lost in the system. It's a closed system. And whether it's this lifetime, 10 lifetimes, it doesn't matter. It's a continuum. It's a continuum. As a matter of fact, if you look at Noah was only able to save his family. He wasn't able to save anybody else, just his own immediate family. You go to Yosef, there are 70 other souls that he's able to save, who are Jewish, but also the whole nation. And then you go forward to Moshe, then you have a whole nation. So it is the evolution of our soul. It is the evolution of going from I and mine to the evolution of we and us. It is that evolution. And it is the evolution of being able to let go and being able to forgive and being able to bring unity. And it is only when we are able to do that we have the chen of Hanukkah, and we are able to have light. We are able to have warmth. We are able to have clarity. That light is also clarity. Yosef teaches us that we can have no excuses for being in the world. There are no excuses. Yosef was an orphan. Yes, he was loved, but he was also an orphan. Yosef was hated by his brothers. Yosef was thrown into a completely foreign, and Egypt in Hebrew is a place of constraint, is a place of narrowness. Mitzrayim, it's a place of narrowness. It's a place of constraint. And then you're in a place of constraint and he's thrown into jail. It's even lower than constraint. It's chained. It's being chained into the chains of, into the depths of hollowness and into the depths of darkness. And yet, Yosef teaches us that we have absolutely no excuse for being in the world. No excuse. And we have no excuse to make our dreams a reality. Yosef is the one that gives us the possibility of making dreams a reality. We have no excuse. And we have no excuse to say that I cannot be connected, I cannot have faith, I cannot have this because of this and this that happened in my life. Yosef is the one that tells us, despite tribulations, despite hardness, there is a faith, there is a trust that we can have that can make everything possible, even when we are in constraints, even when we fall into the depths of darkness. It is, as a matter of fact, from that depth of darkness that things can switch and become the kingdom that he became. The word for dream is the same lettering as melech, which is king. Cholem and melech, exactly the same lettering. Exactly the same. King is having authority. It's being a leader. So Yosef became a king over his dream. He became a king of that dream. Does that make sense? And that is to take away from our own lives and also what we give to our children. The Chen of Hanukkah. So Hanukkah is 25th of Kislev. 25th of Kislev is the day that when we were in the desert, right after Moshe asked for to make the Mishkan, it's the day that everything that Moshe had asked for and they put it together, it was finished. The Mishkan was finished on 25th of Kislev, but it was not inaugurated until 1st of Nisan. So 25th of Kislev carried with it that light. It carried with it inauguration. And so Hanukkah itself means to inaugurate. So even though the Mishkan was not inaugurated that day, the second temple was inaugurated. It can only be inaugurated because of the faith, of the inner faith that a few people had, the Maccabees, they had in order to rededicate the temple. And that carried over for other Jewish people. So never underestimate the power of the one. Yosef was only one. Yosef had a dream, but Yosef had a trust. He was the tzaddik. The tzaddik is the person who is always connected. Is not a prophet. We don't hear God's voice necessarily, but there is an intuition. There is something internal, and it's that internal guidance that must not sway away. Yosef's name, its numerical value is 6 times Hashem's name. It is, they say in physics, the point of transformation when it's going from one state to another state, it takes about 30 times energy to change it from one state to another. Meaning, when we are boiling water, in order for the state of water as a liquid to change into the state of water as a vapor, that point of from 99 degrees to 100 degrees Celsius, which is the temperature of evaporation, you need, I'm not sure exactly, you need very high, 30 times the energy in order to cause that transformation, in order to bring from a state of liquid into the state of vapor. For us to change from or to transform anything from one state to another, it's Yosef. It is 6 times Hashem's name. It takes energy. It takes effort. It doesn't it is that light that shines through the darkness, but it takes a lot of oomph. It needs effort. It must be pushed. It must be walked through. It doesn't just come by itself. And this is the month of Kislev is the third month. From Rosh Hashanah, from Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev is the third month. Third is 1 plus 2. 1 is by itself. 2 is duality. Number 3 is loved in Judaism, because 3 is that place of beauty. It's that place of unity, because it's unity within diversity. It is the colors of the rainbow that make it the one pure light, but it has 7 different colors. And so Hanukkah, or the whole month of Kislev, is about being able to, number 1, to unify the places of our lives. There is nothing in our life that is not unified. Does that make sense? Meaning that there is, if we are to take the story of Joseph, if we are to take the story of Yosef, there is no part of our life that's misplaced. Everything happened for a reason. Just like Yosef said, if we have this internal, we have this internal compass and we have this trust. Kislev also comes from kesel, which means to trust, security. It's security. It's to have that security, to know that there is no part of our life that was misplaced or that is misplaced. We are exactly where we need to be at the time that we are. And everything that has happened up to this point has been guided by Hashem, and I am here because of His guidance. There is no point of our life that is misplaced. Kesel, supported. You are supported. Trust that you are supported.
Make us not to try. I mean, whatever happens.
No.
Say, okay, that was.
No, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. First of all, Noah, tomorrow, I'm not sure if you were here. God said, He commands him to go out of the ark. Go out. You have to go out. You have to be in the world. You have to do. This is us, all of us. We have to be in the world. There is a time that we need to be in our shelter. We need to go into our cocoon, but then we need to be out. Just like Yosef. Yosef could not be a shepherd. In order to be able to save the world, he could not be a shepherd. How much can he affect to be a shepherd? Yes.
He was forced to be like that. I mean, they throw him.
Yes,
in the pit,
but what happened when he was in the pit? When he was in the pit, what happened? He was not downcast. He was not downcast. If anything, he went to other prisoners and said, "What's up? What's wrong with you? Why are you so sad?" Even when he was in the pit, because he had that trust. Okay, if I'm here, I'm meant to be. It is not to say I'm not going to try. It is not to say that I'm not going to try. It is to say that if I find myself in a pit, if I might find myself in a constraint, if I find myself in a narrowness, which is Egypt, it is exactly where I'm meant to be.
Any outcome come out of any situation, you would say, okay, that was the will of the God. I mean, I tried my best, and so it was meant to be.
No, I think he had hopes in his dreams. He believed in what he dreamed, and he had a hope, and that's what drove him into surviving all the obstacles.
He finds solution at the dream.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
That is getting out of that cocoon.
His actions, exactly. You know, it is one thing to be in a pit, and I can certainly attest for that. It is one thing to be in a pit, and it's okay to be in a cocoon for a while. It's okay to surround yourself with, because that's what Noah did. He was surrounded with his own immediate family. It is okay to do that. However, we are all commanded to go out. At some point, we must go out. And in order to go out, we need to put our foot out. It needs action. It needs effort. And I get where you're coming from. I get it. But from the Torah, which is truth, which is emet, and the whole psychology, and not even psychology, the whole evolution of our soul is within the Torah. If we are able to look at it, if we are just able to stand back and look at it, the whole evolution of our soul, it's right there. It is the evolution of, that single-mindedness, the evolution of me for myself to the evolution of bigger, of universal. It's the universal evolution. So, of me for the world. And being connected to everything and everyone, but that takes effort. It doesn't. It is exactly the story of Hanukkah, that they looked and searched and searched and searched until they found one oil. It is that searching for us as well. It is that searching to look for that inner connection. That searching to look for that faith. And sometimes it's very, very dark. Sometimes it's very dark. And yet we are not to give up on that searching. Because when we search for it, that light that is found through that darkness will last forever. That candle, the one light that they found that was supposed to last for 1 day, lasted for 8 days. 8 is infinity. It was forever. It is the light of Hanukkah that we celebrate. It is not the light that was lit of the menorah in the temple. It is the menorah that was lit after the second temple time. It is the light that we go through that darkness. And we search, we look. And that light that we lit in that darkness, in that pit, we light it, that's the light that's forever. And that comes from the beauty of Yosef. That comes because he was the tzaddik. He never ever changed. He knew what his dream was. He knew who he was. He knew what his intuition is. And he never gave up on it, even if it was in the pit. Kislev, the month of Kislev, as I said, it's Keshet, which is the bow and arrow. It's the bow. It's Keshet. It's the bow, but it's also the rainbow. It's the same wording. And if you look at a rainbow, it's like a bow. Yes? So actually, if you put both of them together, if you put the bow of the rainbow and then you put the bow of the arrow together, it's a circle. It's a full circle. One is a semicircle. So one is the interaction of the moisture with light, with light. It's our effort with light. The other one, it's also, look, you take the arrow, you have to take it. It goes back. There is an effort that goes to it. But then you have your eye set on a certain destination. Your eye is not on the floor saying, okay, I'm going to throw. No, your eye is on a certain destination. And then you focus, you release. Once it's released, it's surrender. Once it's released, it's surrender. But it's up to us to do that effort of go back. The going back takes effort. right? The focus takes effort. I need to have my eye on something. Yosef had his eye on his dream. And he had the trust that he can just surrender. I am meant to be where I am meant to be. But he did that also. He had this effort of keshet. So this is the month of Kislev. If I can wrap it up, the month of Kislev is, by the way, something very beautiful, because I might not see you for Hanukkah. We're going to have a Rosh Chodesh circle, but in case I don't see you for Hanukkah, this is very beautiful. The 36th light of Hanukkah, from the first day till the last day, there are 36 lights. The 36 lights of Hanukkah are actually the same light that was in the beginning before Adam and Chava were expelled from Gan Eden. It is the light of Gan Eden, the 36th light of Hanukkah. And they say there is 36 hours from the time that Adam was created until after Shabbat, that because he was created Friday day, and then it was Shabbat. They had the apple, whatever they had the fruit, and then but they stayed for Shabbat, and after Shabbat, adios amigos. But the 36 lights of Hanukkah are the 36 lights that are from Gan Eden. It is that pure light. But that light comes from the light of unity. This is all metaphoric, but what it means is that it's the light of unity. It's the light of connection. It's the light of beauty. It's chen. It's the light of beauty and harmony. 3 also, by the way, it's tiferet, which is the spine. It is beautiful, and it's called beauty. And that's where that light comes from. So, but for us to be able, and then God hid himself. God hid himself in our everyday life. He hid himself in our soul. He hid himself in the circumstances of our lives. And miracle is when there is an opening and we see, oh, there is God here. But the 36 light of Hanukkah are the miracles that we can bring about. We can bring about by uncovering that hiddenness. And how do we uncover the hiddenness? By searching. We search and we search, just like Yosef was in a pit. Just like the Kohanim searched for that one crucible of oil. And the searching is what uncovers it. It's what uncovers the hiddenness. And that's the light that's eternal. That's the light that will never go out. And the seed of Rachel is by the way, they say the beauty of the woman, I have to remember this phrase correctly. No, I'm sorry. It's the Jewish woman, it's the grace of the Jewish woman that can obliterate Amalek. So Amalek has been known to be our arch enemy. But who is Amalek? Amalek, if you take the lettering, it's the same lettering as Safek, which is doubt. Doubt. It is the grace of the woman that can remove doubt for herself and her family. The doubt of what?
Your ability to do things.
Your faith.
Connecting to light.
Connecting to Hashem, connecting to light, of being able to be
I would say any negative thought that comes to you.
negativity. So it is the grace, it is the beauty of the Jewish woman that can destroy Amalek, that can destroy doubt. So it is that chen. It is that beauty. And it is not for us to be passive about it. It is actually for us to be very active about it. Because that activity only comes out by us coming out of the ark. And once we come out, we are shown the rainbow, we are shown the light. Once we come out, we are able to be the melech of our dreams. Whether it's a dream that we've had or if it's a dream that we have, whatever it is. Until we don't come out, we are not able to do that. So it takes effort, it takes searching, it takes doing. But it also takes knowing. Knowing who you are, knowing your center, your core, that you're always connected, that you're never disconnected, you're never alone, no matter if you're in the pits of the prison of Egypt, of constraint, of narrowness. So with that, may we all be able to bring out our dreams, because each one of us carries a spark of Hashem. Each one of us carries a different creativity of Hashem. We are the colors of the rainbow. Each one of us has a different color, but together we make the rainbow. And may we be able to have the trust, because the month of Kislev is connected to trust. May we be able to trust that inner knowingness, that inner belonging, that inner connection will bring us out of the constraints, out of the pit, and not only bring us out, but make us the melech of our lives, make us the king of our lives, and not only be the melech for ourselves, but be the melech and be the light, because one light can shine a lot of light within darkness, and be the light that we are meant to be. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here.